Hi, it's me again, Bob. I want to welcome you back to my site. Thank you very much for coming back. I want to talk about something today that I rarely talk about, and for good reasons, because it's hardly ever mentioned. But I want to talk about the false prophet. For the last 8 years on my website, we've been talking about the Antichrist, who without a doubt is Emmanuel Macron, and I think we've proved that pretty successfully. But I've never really talked about the false prophet, and for pretty much the reason there's not a lot of information, not a lot of stories about the false prophet. So I really haven't spoken too much about what I think and commentaries on that. I've mentioned this recently in the past year or so that I've sort of changed my mind about Mystery Babylon. For 43 years, I thought that the Catholic Church was going to be involved in Mystery Babylon in one way or the other. But I've changed my mind since, as I said about a year ago. I now am leaning toward the UN, believe it or not, because of the fact that the UN is global, and the UN is sort of like Babylon of the past, where everybody speaks in one language, of course, with the interpreters, and it's in New York City. Could New York City be Mystery Babylon? I don't know, but I'm leaning toward that. And I've also commented on the fact that I believe that the false prophet will rule and reign from the UN. Seems like an obvious place that he will accomplish uh, the Antichrist goals and ambitions. With, as I said, the false prophet in New York City at the UN, and of course, Emmanuel Macron in Europe, probably in Rome. Um, but as I said, there's not a lot of information on who could be the false prophet or even making a guesstimation about who I think it could be. If you look at this picture behind me, I've always said that this is the most important picture of the last 50 years. It has Emmanuel Macron sitting on the throne, and next to him is an empty throne. And in my opinion, that empty throne must be the throne for the false prophet. There's only one other person in history that Macron will sit next to, and one person that Macron will share any type of glory or any type of power, and that is, of course, the false prophet. The Bible predicts, the Bible states that the false prophet and Emmanuel Macron will be part of the, if you will, the satanic trinity. And the false prophet will be in charge of the religious tenant of the tribulation period. Um, and I'm sorry, I've got a little fly or something in my face. But this false prophet will rule and reign uh, from New York City, possibly. And this picture here is Macron waiting for the arrival of the false prophet. It's a powerful picture, and I think it's critical, understanding the two legs of the revived Roman Empire, with Macron at one leg and the false prophet as the other leg, representing the two legs of the revived Roman Empire. Now, last year, if you remember, there was a UN pact called, if I have it here, it was called the UN Pact for the Future. Uh, a lot of Bible prophecy teachers grabbed onto this UN Pact for the Future, rightfully so. It sounded very powerful. It sounded like it had a lot going for it. As a matter of fact, um, they wanted to set up a centralized global government. Okay. If you're into Bible prophecy, centralized global government is something That sounds pretty important, something that we need to talk about. And as I said, this was all something that was prepped and ready to go last year. But obviously nothing happened last year, and we're used to nothing happening. But they were ready to usher in this person as the false prophet that would rule and reign from New York City as the false prophet uh, to this centralized global government position. Now, there's a news story that just came out where they're picking up where they started or where they finished off last year, and now they're talking again about this UN charter, which is called the Pact for the Future, and they're once again emphasizing someone to lead the UN. It's it's called a special envoy for future generations. That's what the UN is calling this person. It's a envoy, a select special envoy to govern and to rule for future generations. And I even read one sentence that said he is going to use divination to predict the future. Now, I feel like saying, come on, who could this possibly be? Who could they possibly be talking about? Uh, it's sort of a no-brainer, in my opinion. They're talking about the soon-to-come false prophet. Who else could be the Superman that this article is talking about that will rule and reign and be an envoy for future generations? Sure sounds like somebody important to me, and sounds like somebody that could only have the resume of the false prophet. In my opinion, that's the only person worthy to sit next to Emmanuel Macron on that throne. So a lot of the things that I've been saying, looking for the UN as Mystery Babylon, looking for the false prophet to come out of the UN. Once again, the UN is pushing for, in my opinion, the false prophet to rule and reign with a centralized global government. By the way, if you follow me on my site here, 7 years ago, Emmanuel Macron had something called a pact for the environment. And I predicted at that particular time that that pact for the environment was going to be the 7 year tribulation, um, 7 year tribulation pact that would codify all of the rules and regulations that the UN wants to set up, the environmental issues that also will come out of the UN. This is something that Emmanuel Macron wrote 7 years ago, and I believe that the false prophet will use this pact that Emmanuel Macron wrote 7 years ago, and that is the uh, tribulation document that will be codified into all of Macron's aspirations as the Antichrist. So again, in my opinion, all of this is coming together. It's exciting. Will it be 2025 that they elect this person, the special envoy, to represent the UN's aspirations for global government? Perhaps, perhaps not. As I said, they wanted to do this last year, but it wasn't the right time. Perhaps 2025 will be the right time. I certainly hope so. So look for all of this to happen. Look for this UN Global Pact for global government to possibly have legs and gain more incentive for the UN to take over this global government. It's very exciting to me to watch all of this come together, stuff that I've been looking at and predicting for the last 7, 8 years, because I know that Emmanuel Macron is the Antichrist. I know what he's been planning. I know his aspirations, and all you have to do is look at the things that he wrote and talked about many years ago. And he doesn't forget. He never forgets what he was talking about in the past. The COVID happened, and that sort of put a sort of stopped him from accomplishing his goals years ago. But the pandemic is in the past, so it's sort of full steam ahead for what Macron wants to accomplish. He's proving with Ukraine that he is the leader of Europe. He is the one making all the decisions for Europe. So it's not surprising to me that he is the leader of Europe. And now, to fulfill Revelation and the book of Daniel, all he needs is someone to sit next to him. And for the first time in a long time, the news is and the global news is talking about a possible leader which fits the description of the coming false prophet. It's time to start considering the false prophet. We've spent years talking about the Antichrist. I think that's done and settled. Now it's time to consider who the false prophet is. Watch the UN. Watch this special envoy for future generations, the one that's going to use divination to predict the future. And this is an exciting time. And hopefully this will be the end of the road. And they will appoint the false prophet to sit in this throne here. And if that happens, there's only one way that could happen, and that will happen because the rapture has already taken place, and we will be in heaven, and the rest of the world will see Macron and the false prophet sitting in these two thrones, and they will know for a fact who the false prophet and who the Antichrist is. We know who one of them is, and it's getting close to seeing the description and who the false prophet will be. So keep watching. Watch my website. Oh, and by the way, if you want to watch a movie, it's called Childhood's End. It's a great television series. Watch the first part. It has a lot to do with what I'm talking about, and it's a fascinating depiction of possibly UFOs. Maybe somebody being the false prophet out of that whole UFO story. So that's another angle that needs to be watched. But if you have time, watch a television show called Childhood's End. Arthur C. Clarke, I think, is the writer of that book. Okay, so watch it with me, and we're in exciting times now. Okay, thanks.